The air crackled with excitement. It wasn't just any night, it was fight night. The arena buzzed like a giant beehive, filled with people eager to see the legendary Muhammad Ali in action. Bright lights flashed, music thumped, and the smell of popcorn and hot dogs filled the air. Outside, ticket scalpers yelled, trying to sell their precious passes to anyone who would listen. Inside, people cheered and laughed, showing off their fancy clothes and finding their seats. Imagine the feeling, the anticipation building as the minutes ticked down to the main event. Everyone was talking, predicting who would win, sharing stories about Ali's amazing skills. You could feel the energy in the ground, like a giant drumbeat getting louder and louder. It was more than just a boxing match. It was a spectacle, a show, a party all rolled into one. Even the ushers seemed extra cheerful, guiding people to their seats with big smiles. The vendors selling snacks had their hands full, rushing to serve the hungry crowd. It felt like the whole city had come together in one place, all united by their love of boxing and their admiration for Muhammad Ali. The arena was like a giant, glowing bowl, filled to the brim with excited faces. Every seat was taken, every aisle was packed. It was the kind of night that people would remember for years to come, a night of thrills, excitement, and the chance to witness greatness. You could almost taste the victory in the air, the promise of an unforgettable showdown. The stage was set, the crowd was ready, and the only thing missing was the main event, the arrival of Muhammad Ali himself. The anticipation was almost too much to bear. But outside that glowing bowl of excitement, a different scene was unfolding. The rain was coming down in sheets, a real downpour that turned the streets into rushing rivers. The wind howled like a hungry wolf, making it hard to even see. Umbrellas turned inside out, and people huddled under doorways, trying to escape the storm. And there, right in the middle of it all, stood a man. He was soaked to the bone, his clothes plastered to his skin. He shivered in the cold, but he didn't move. He didn't have an umbrella, he didn't have a raincoat, and he definitely didn't have a ticket. But he did have something else: hope. He stood near the entrance, peering through the gaps in the crowd, trying to catch a glimpse of the arena lights. He could hear the roar of the crowd inside, the music, the announcer's voice. It was so close, yet so far away. He knew he probably shouldn't be there, that he was just getting in the way. But he couldn't bring himself to leave. He had been a fan of Muhammad Ali for as long as he could remember. He had followed his career, watched his fights on TV, and read every article he could find about him. Ali wasn't just a boxer to him, he was a hero, a symbol of strength and courage. He admired Ali's skill in the ring, but even more than that, he admired his character, his willingness to stand up for what he believed in. He knew that the chances of getting inside were slim to none. He didn't have any connections, he didn't know anyone who worked at the arena, and he certainly didn't have the money to buy a ticket from a scalper. But he couldn't shake the feeling that he had to be there, that he had to be close to the action, even if he couldn't see it with his own eyes. He held on to that little spark of hope, the belief that somehow, someway, he would get to see his hero. He just needed a miracle. Meanwhile, backstage, the atmosphere was very different. Instead of a cold rain, there were bright lights and warm air. Instead of shivering, people were sweating with anticipation. And instead of a feeling of hopelessness, there was a feeling of intense focus and determination. Muhammad Ali was the center of it all. He wasn't just a boxer, he was a force of nature. He moved with a grace and confidence that was mesmerizing. He shadowboxed, his fists a blur, his feet dancing lightly on the floor. He joked with his trainers, his laughter booming through the room. But beneath the surface, you could see the steely glint in his eyes, the unwavering focus that made him a champion. He was surrounded by his team, his trainers, his doctors, his managers, all working together to make sure he was ready for the fight. They wrapped his hands, massaged his muscles, and whispered words of encouragement. They knew that tonight was important, not just for Ali, but for everyone who believed in him. Ali wasn't just fighting for himself, he was fighting for something bigger. He was a symbol of hope for people all over the world, a reminder that anything is possible if you believe in yourself. He had overcome obstacles that would have crushed most people, and he had done it with grace, humor, and unwavering courage. He was more than just an athlete, he was an icon, a legend, a hero. And tonight, he was ready to prove it once again. He took a deep breath, closed his eyes for a moment, and visualized victory. He knew that the fight would be tough, that his opponent would be strong. But he also knew that he was stronger, that he was faster, and that he was more determined. He was Muhammad Ali, and he was ready to rumble. The energy backstage was palpable, a mix of nervous excitement and unwavering belief in the man who was about to step into the ring. It was a sacred space, a place where dreams were made and legends were born. As Ali continued his preparations, a buzz started going around backstage. One of the security guards, who had been making his rounds near the entrance, came rushing in, his face flushed. He spoke quickly to one of Ali's managers, his words hushed but urgent. "There's a guy out there," the guard said, "standing in the rain. Says he doesn't have a ticket, but he's a huge fan. Been there for hours, just hoping to catch a glimpse of Mr. Ali." The manager frowned. "We can't let everyone in who doesn't have a ticket," he said, shaking his head. "The place is already packed." But the guard persisted. I know, he said. "But this guy. He's really dedicated. Soaked to the bone, shivering like crazy. He just wants to see Ali. It's really something." The manager sighed, but something in the guard's voice made him pause. He knew how much Ali meant to people. He knew the kind of hope he inspired. He decided to mention it to Ali. He approached Ali cautiously, waiting for a break in his training. "Champ," he said, "there's something you should hear." He quickly recounted the story of the fan outside, the man in the rain with no ticket, just a heart full of admiration. Ali stopped shadowboxing, his brow furrowed. He listened intently, his eyes filled with a mixture of concern and curiosity. When the manager finished, Ali was silent for a moment, deep in thought. The room held its breath, waiting for his response. He looked at his manager, then at the guard, his expression unreadable. Then, he made a decision. A decision that would turn one fan's rainy night into a memory that would last a lifetime. He knew what he had to do. It wasn't about the fight, or the fame, or the money. It was about something much more important. It was about connecting with the people who believed in him, about showing them that he appreciated their support. It was about being more than just a boxer, it was about being human. "Get me a robe," Ali said, his voice firm but gentle. "And tell the guard to show me where this man is." His team looked at him, surprised. "Champ, you're about to fight," one of his trainers said. "You can't go out there in this weather. You'll catch a cold." Ali smiled, a warm, genuine smile that reached his eyes. "I'll be fine," he said. "A little rain never hurt anyone. Besides," he added, his voice dropping to a near whisper, "it's the least I can do." He grabbed the robe, a thick, white terrycloth robe with his name emblazoned on the back in bold red letters. It was one of his favorites, comfortable and familiar. He knew it would offer the fans some much-needed warmth and dryness. Without another word, he turned and headed towards the backstage exit, the security guard leading the way. The rain was still coming down hard, but Ali didn't hesitate. He stepped out into the storm, the robe pulled tightly around him. The cold wind whipped at his face, and the rain stung his eyes, but he kept walking, his focus fixed on finding the devoted fan who had braved the elements just to be near him. He knew that this small act of kindness wouldn't change the world, but he also knew that it could make a big difference in one person's life. And for Ali, that was enough. He believed in the power of human connection, in the importance of showing compassion and empathy. He knew that sometimes, the smallest gestures can have the biggest impact. As he walked through the rain, he thought about all the people who had supported him throughout his career, all the fans who had cheered him on, win or lose. He felt a deep sense of gratitude, and he wanted to find a way to show it. This was his chance. This was his way of saying thank you. This was his way of giving back. The security guard led Ali through the throngs of people huddled under awnings and crowded near the entrance. The rain made it hard to see, but Ali scanned the crowd, his eyes searching for a lone figure standing apart from the rest. Finally, he spotted him. The fan was still there, standing near the edge of the entrance, his head bowed, his shoulders slumped with exhaustion. He was shivering uncontrollably, his clothes clinging to his body like a second skin. He looked like he was about to give up. Ali approached him cautiously, his footsteps muffled by the rain. When he was just a few feet away, he stopped and cleared his throat. The fan looked up, his eyes wide with surprise. He blinked, as if he couldn't believe what he was seeing. "Are you okay?" Ali asked, his voice gentle. The fan stammered, Mr. Ali?" He couldn't believe his eyes. The man he admired more than anyone in the world was standing right in front of him, in the pouring rain, just to talk to him. Ali smiled. "I heard you were out here," he said. "In this weather. I wanted to see if you were all right." The fan was speechless. He didn't know what to say. He had come to see Ali, but he never imagined that Ali would come to see him. Ali reached out and gently placed the robe around the fan's shoulders. "Here," he said. "Put this on. You must be freezing." The fan hesitated for a moment, then gratefully accepted the robe. It was warm and dry, and it smelled faintly of Ali's cologne. He wrapped it tightly around himself, feeling a surge of warmth and comfort. "Thank you," he whispered, his voice choked with emotion. "Thank you so much." Ali smiled again. "Come on," he said. "Let's get you inside." He put his arm around the fan's shoulder and began to lead him towards the entrance. The fan walked beside him, still in a daze, unable to believe that this was actually happening. He had come to see a fight, but he was leaving with something much more valuable, a memory that would last a lifetime. He hadn't come for attention, he came for Ali. As they walked through the backstage area, people turned to stare. They whispered to each other, pointing at Ali and the soaking wet fan wrapped in his robe. Some smiled, some nodded in approval, and some just looked confused. But Ali didn't pay them any attention. He kept his arm around the fan's shoulder, guiding him through the crowd. Finally, they reached a small, private room near the locker rooms. Ali led the fan inside and closed the door behind them. The room was simple, with just a few chairs and a small table. But it was warm and dry, a welcome relief from the storm outside. "Sit down," Ali said, gesturing to one of the chairs. "Get warm." The fan sat down, still clutching the robe tightly around himself. He looked at Ali, his eyes filled with gratitude. "I don't know what to say," he said. This is amazing." Ali smiled. "Don't say anything," he said. "Just relax. You're safe now." He paused, then added, "That robe. It's not just a robe. It's a symbol. A symbol of hope, of kindness, of believing in something bigger than yourself." The fan looked down at the robe, running his hand over the soft terry cloth. He knew that Ali was right. It wasn't just a piece of clothing. It was a connection to his hero, a reminder that even the smallest acts of kindness can have a profound impact. It represented Ali's willingness to see beyond the fame and fortune, to recognize the humanity in everyone he met. It was a tangible representation of Ali's spirit, his generosity, and his unwavering belief in the power of compassion. He knew he would never forget this night, not just because he had met Muhammad Ali, but because he had witnessed his kindness firsthand. It wasn't just a robe, it was a memory, a lesson, a story he would tell for the rest of his life. It was proof that even in the midst of a storm, there is always hope, and that even the greatest heroes are still human. And for that, he would be forever grateful. It was a gift, freely given, that transcended material value and entered the realm of the truly meaningful. As the fan sat there, wrapped in Ali's robe, a wave of realization washed over him. He hadn't just met his hero, he had been welcomed by him. He hadn't been turned away, dismissed as just another face in the crowd. Instead, Ali had seen him, had acknowledged his dedication, and had offered him warmth and shelter. It wasn't just about the robe, although the robe itself was a precious gift. It was about the gesture, the act of kindness that spoke volumes about Ali's character. It was about the fact that Ali, a world-famous athlete, a legend in his own time, had taken the time to step outside of his own world and connect with someone who admired him. The fan realized that he had come to the arena hoping to witness Ali's greatness in the ring. But he had witnessed something even greater, Ali's humanity. He had seen the compassion in his eyes, the sincerity in his smile, and the genuine concern in his voice. He had seen a side of Ali that most people never got to see, a side that was even more impressive than his boxing skills. He thought about all the things he had read about Ali, all the stories about his courage, his conviction, and his willingness to stand up for what he believed in. He realized that those stories weren't just hype, they were true. Ali was a champion in and out of the ring, a man who truly cared about others. And in that moment, the fan felt a deep sense of gratitude, not just for the robe, not just for the opportunity to meet his hero, but for the reminder that even in a world that often seems cold and uncaring, there are still people like Muhammad Ali, people who are willing to go the extra mile to show kindness and compassion. It was a powerful realization, a moment of clarity that would stay with him long after the fight was over and the crowds had gone home. He hadn't come for attention, but he received something far more meaningful, acceptance, and a memory etched in his heart forever. After a few moments of quiet contemplation, Ali stood up. "Well," he said, clapping his hands together, "I've got a fight to get ready for. But you," he said, pointing to the fan, "you stay here. Relax. Watch the fight on TV. And keep that robe. It's yours now." The fan's eyes widened. "Really?" he asked. "You mean it?" Ali nodded. "Of course," he said. "Consider it a thank you. A thank you for believing in me. A thank you for standing out there in the rain. A thank you for being a true fan." He extended his hand, and the fan eagerly shook it, his grip firm and grateful. "Thank you, Mr. Ali," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "Thank you for everything." As Ali turned to leave, he paused at the door and looked back at the fan. "Remember," he said, "it's not just about winning. It's about how you live your life. It's about being kind, being compassionate, and standing up for what you believe in." And with that, he was gone, leaving the fan alone in the room, wrapped in his robe, his heart filled with gratitude and inspiration. The fan sat back in the chair, closed his eyes, and took a deep breath. He could still feel the warmth of Ali's hand in his, the weight of the robe on his shoulders, and the echo of his words in his heart. He had come to see a fight, but he had received so much more. He had met his hero, he had been treated with kindness and compassion, and he had been given a reminder of the importance of living a life of purpose and meaning. It was a dream come true, a moment he would cherish for the rest of his days. And as he sat there, waiting for the fight to begin, he knew that he would never look at Muhammad Ali the same way again. He wasn't just a boxer, he was a role model, an inspiration, and a true champion of humanity. And he, the fan, was forever changed by his encounter. He had wanted to see Ali, and he got to meet him. It was a dream come true. Muhammad Ali was known around the world for his boxing skills. He was fast, he was strong, and he was always confident. But he was also known for something else, his big heart. He always stood up for what he believed in, even when it wasn't easy. He fought for equality, for justice, and for peace. He used his voice to speak out against injustice, and he inspired millions of people to do the same. He wasn't afraid to be different. He wasn't afraid to challenge the status quo. He was a rebel, a revolutionary, and a true original. He was also a kind and compassionate man, who cared deeply about others. He used his fame and fortune to help those in need, and he always made time for his fans. This story, about the fan in the rain, is just one small example of the kind of person Muhammad Ali was. It shows that he wasn't just a great athlete, he was also a great human being. He understood the importance of connecting with people, of showing kindness and compassion, and of standing up for what you believe in. He knew that his actions, both inside and outside the ring, had the power to inspire others. He knew that he was a role model, and he took that responsibility seriously. He wanted to show the world that it was possible to be both a champion and a good person, to be both strong and compassionate, to be both successful and humble. Ali taught us that true greatness isn't just about winning, it's about how you live your life. It's about the choices you make, the values you uphold, and the impact you have on others. He showed us that it's possible to be a force for good in the world, to make a difference, and to inspire hope. And for that, he will always be remembered, not just as a boxing legend, but as a true champion of humanity, someone who stood for more than himself. His legacy lives on, not just in the record books, but in the hearts of everyone he touched. He wasn't just the greatest, he was a great man. He stood for something bigger than just boxing. Years later, the fan, now an old man, still had the robe. It wasn't in perfect condition. It had a few stains, a few tears, and the once bright red letters had faded with time. But to him, it was priceless. It was more valuable than any treasure, more meaningful than any award. He kept it carefully stored in a special box, wrapped in soft tissue paper. He would take it out from time to time, just to look at it, to touch it, to remember that night. And every time he did, he would feel a surge of gratitude, a renewed sense of hope, and a deep connection to the man who had given it to him. He told the story to his children, to his grandchildren, and to anyone who would listen. He wanted them to know about Muhammad Ali, not just as a boxer, but as a human being. He wanted them to understand the importance of kindness, compassion, and standing up for what you believe in. He often wondered if Ali even remembered him, if he remembered that rainy night and the fan who had stood outside the arena, just hoping to catch a glimpse of his hero. He hoped that he did, but even if he didn't, it didn't matter. What mattered was that Ali had made a difference in his life, a difference that had lasted a lifetime. Ali's simple act of kindness created a ripple effect, influencing the fan's own actions and inspiring him to be a better person. The robe became a family heirloom, a tangible reminder of the power of human connection and the importance of living a life of purpose and meaning. So, the next time you see someone in need, remember the story of Muhammad Ali and the fan in the rain. Remember that even the smallest acts of kindness can have a lasting impact, and that you have the power to make a difference in someone's life. Just like Ali, you can choose to be a champion, not just in your own life, but in the lives of others. You can stand for something bigger than yourself. And you can leave a legacy of kindness and compassion that will last for generations to come. The memory of that night, the warmth of that robe, and the wisdom of those words would stay with him forever, a testament to the enduring power of human kindness.